to the video again, out in the field. You might be asking yourself, what's he doing this time? He's staring up a culvert. What possible good can come from that? Well, I did a picture the other night there in this very spot, and I thought it was quite interesting. It's not something that a lot of people do, is look up a culvert like this. But when I processed the shot with the dark wraparound border and the bright green foliage reflected in the water, it kind of looks like an eye. So I ended up calling the photograph the Dragon's Eye, and it seemed quite popular on Instagram. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see how this looks. We'll do a little tutorial here on how I captured the Dragon's Eye. Okay, let's see how it's done. So as you can see, the way the camera is aimed pretty much straight up the bore of this culvert. What you want to be is towards the top end of the culvert, because you want to get as much light from the end of the culvert coming down along the water. So that's what we're doing here. You'll see in this area here, we've got quite a bit of light, and right at the very far end, it's kind of unsightly, not very interesting. And in the foreground here, we've got some rocks, which are going to count some ways towards some scale-like properties. At least that's how I interpret them. Okay, the next stage, once we've got our composition right, is to set the camera up. And we'll do that now. So these are the settings of the camera. I've actually had to brighten up the viewfinder, the screen settings, I mean, just so we can see things here. But I will be shooting, let's just get this back down here. You can see the highlights are blown out there, and it's very, very bright in there. So I'm going to be shooting around half a second at f10. And what I have on here, let's just brighten up the view again. What I have on the front is an ND filter, a 32. It's adjustable with the polarizer built in. So I want that green to pop a little bit. And that's what the polarizer is going to do. So you just dial that in just so we get a nice reflection and we get a nice burst of green from the foliage that's on the other side. You can see trees being reflected there. And that's what we're looking for. And you can see this little branch here. It's not a branch, it's a little sandbar, which kind of adds some interest into the eye shape. So that's what we're going to do. There's not much else I can tell you about that, other than take several shots. If need be, change your focus points, and then blend them in Photoshop or whatever piece of software you're going to use. There you go. So that's the shots that we're going to take. 2-second timer on. And there you go. That's the shot. You can see there the highlights are a little bit blown out. So what we can do to counteract that is increase the time. Shorten the time. And we're going to go, let's go down for 1/3 of a second. This image is going to look very dark, but it will retain detail in the highlights, and we can blend this together to form an HDR image. And the image is going to be cropped. I'm at 70mm at the moment on my 17-70 f4 lens, and we're running at f10 because we want some depth of field in this. There is quite a distance between the end of the culvert and the point of focus. Also, the long exposure or multiple exposures blended together make the slight rippling waterfall that's at the far end there blur. So it adds another sort of dimension. The other day when I took this, and you'll see that image, there were bubbles streaming through here as well. There's less water today. So the bubbles added a little bit more of a pattern. And also this is shot in landscape mode and not portrait mode. I could switch it now to portrait mode if I wanted, and that way I would include those rocks in the foreground as well. Again, I would have to focus that by focusing on them and blending that in as well. So there's quite a bit of work when you think about something like this seemingly simple shot. But it does give us, you know, a result that's unusual and interesting and different. And if you want to make a statement with your photography, you have to find something that's different. You have to be out there doing things. And in the meantime, until you find a killer shot, do stuff like this and learn your craft. Learn the capacity of your camera. Learn to make sure your skills meet or exceed the camera that you're using before you move on to another model of camera, another brand, a higher spec, whatever. Make sure you're getting the most out of the equipment you've got. The only reason why I changed my camera the last time to this one was this one has a higher sensitivity sensor, and also has a feature where I can use a high resolution feature by taking multiple shots and instantaneously stacking them together. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as the camera I had before. There are one or two bells or whistles added, but these things are just something to fiddle with sometimes. Most of the time you won't use them. But there you go. This is the Dragon's Eye. I hope some point you see what I'm trying to do here, and I've explained it reasonably well. But have a go at things like this. I'm in the luxurious part of the countryside here where there's nobody about, but I could be in the heart of a town doing this. I could so very well be surrounded by people, and that's kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people, but there you go. You have to be a bit brave at times. I would like to come back here and shoot this again in the winter time when it's all ice in there, or later on when there's been a lot of rain and there's quite a lot of water coming through here, to see what differences that makes. Also, different debris will come down through the tunnel and block it and change its silhouette, which might make it just that little bit interesting. Also, sunsets and sunrises shot here always will make a difference. How about a blood red dragon's eye? That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? These are the things you've got to think about in the back of your mind. As a photographer, you're not just shooting what's in front of you, you're shooting what you think you should see, or what you want to see. And you create, from your talents with the camera, an image that other people go, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And there you go. That's the payoff. When somebody says, oh yeah, that's pretty cool or pretty good, you know you're doing something right. Okay, thanks for watching. It's just a short little video, but hopefully it gives you some information and some thoughts about how to progress with your photography and how to find a killer shot, or in this case, the Dragon's Eye. Yeah, that didn't really sound scary. It's kind of creepy. Oh well. Here's the image. And a couple other images that I got in this area using the ND filter to blur water, which is an interesting effect. Sometimes too much used, and sometimes never enough. The filter I'm using is a K&N filter, available obviously at Amazon, B&H and other fine camera stores. There you go. Oh, camera's timed out. Good. Time to say goodbye. Bye.
So close your eyes and see go old. Feel the chase a breeze, hold your eyes up to the trees. Have you ever seen the sun jumping into a stream. It's really something to see.